Hello and welcome to another AngelTrack walkthrough. Today we will learn how to dispatch from AngelTrack's live map, which is a different way of dispatching than the traditional dispatch board. So here I've got a sample dispatch board set up with 4 simple calls, 3 BLSs and 1 ALS, neatly spaced out in time, and I've got Medic 1 and Medic 2, I've got a BLS and an ALS unit. So we all already know how to dispatch in the traditional way. You click the unassigned link, take a look at where the call is, scroll down, pick the unit that we think is most suitable for handling it, click the now button if we're going to activate immediately, click later if they're going to handle it later on at its normal activation time. We've all done that 1,000 times. Today we're going to see a new way of dispatching using the map. And we can pull the map up using any of these map links here, or of course the live map link on Dispatch Home. Now here's our normal map view. Looks like it always did. I've got 2 GPS pins from 2 crew members who are reporting their positions from their mobile devices, and I've got the first open call, A to B, just like it always was. To put the map into dispatching mode, I'm going to select this radio button right here, click on Shift. Now the way that this works is the map is going to show you the call volume and the call assignments just for a particular shift, just from the point of view of Medic 1. Because on a busy call schedule, if we tried to draw all assignments given to all shifts at the same time, the map would just be a useless clutter of lines. So we're going to look at our upcoming calls from the point of view of just one shift. In this case, it's going to be Medic 1. Now I've got some basic information about the shift I chose. I see it's a BLS unit, an ambulance with a 1 stretcher, and their mobile number here, if that's configured. And I have a teeny tiny dispatch board that shows me just the calls that are coming up that Medic 1 could handle. These are the calls that Medic 1 is legally qualified to take. So for the next 2 hours, there are 2 calls that Medic 1 could do. Notice that the ALS call does not show up. Medic 1 can't take it. Now, if I were to open up the time window a little more, there's another call right out at the 4-hour mark, 4 hours away from now, that Medic 1 could also handle. Whereas if we switch the map over to Medic 2, my ALS unit, now I see that ALS call because Medic 2 can handle any of the BLSs plus the ALS, and if I open the time window out, I can see all 4 calls. So Medic 2 could handle any of these. But because they're my ALS unit, I'm going to try to keep them in reserve as long as I can. So I'm going to give all the BLS work to Medic 1. So we'll switch back to Medic 1. We're going to look at the map from Medic 1's point of view. And I can see already that these calls, they're going to line up pretty neatly. I see an 11 o'clock pickup driving down here, and then I see a 12:30. That's just a short drive away coming back up here. Then I see a gap, that gap right there in the today bar. Looks like time to get drive-through, get some lunch, just drive-through. And then a 2:15 pickup, looks like a discharge coming out of Bayshore, going home to the nursing home. So I could give this whole sequence of calls here to my Medic 1. And it's very easy to drop them on my unit. I can just click, assign that one to them, and then that one to them, and then that one to them. So now Medic 1 has got all 3 of the BLS stretchers assigned to it. So I see solid arrows. The solid arrows represents how Medic 1 is going to be driving for the next 4 hours. So they're going to start here at 11, they're going to drive approximately down here, then from here to here, then from there to there. Very easy to visualize how my unit will be driving around town. Then I can switch to my ALS unit, and I've got just this one unassigned call. Now, notice that these lines here, the lines that represent Medic 1's calls, they go back to dotted, indicating that that's being handled by a different shift than the one we're looking at. We're looking at Medic 2. Medic 2 has no assignments yet. So we'll give this call to Medic 2. Now I can see that Medic 2 is going to be driving from there to there, picking up at 11:15. That's about 45 minutes from now, and then they're going to be driving up here. and then they can get lunch in this area. So piece of cake, I just got all my calls assigned for the next 4 hours. Now, this time control here, this is actually very important because I've created a very simple test case with just 4 calls. Very easy to draw on a map, not too confusing even when all 4 calls are plotted. At a normal busy EMS company, there's going to be a lot more calls on the board, and if I were to try to look 4 hours out in advance, there would just be a useless clutter of calls. So by dialing back the time window, I can reduce the amount of information on the map back to a manageable level. And it might be that at busy times of the day, you're only going to be looking at the next hour. And then as the call volume slacks off, then you can open up your view and look out 2, 3, or 4 hours in advance. And of course, your wheelchair and your gurney units, they don't tend to have the same problem of running late that BLS units have. Like when an ambulance goes to drop a patient off at the ER, sometimes they get out of the ER in 20 minutes, and sometimes they're stuck there for 2.5 hours, and there's no way to predict what's going to happen. Whereas your wheelchair and your gurney units, they don't usually have that problem. So when you're dispatching a wheelchair or a gurney shift, maybe you can expand the time window out a lot wider. The map will only show you the wheelchair and gurney calls, and you can load out their schedule for the next 4 hours. Whereas your ALS and BLS units, you're probably only going to be dispatching them for the next 2 hours anyway. So, let me show you how to solve another problem with this feature. Let us say that you have got Medic 1, you've got their call schedule worked out, and let us say that you gave them the 11 and you gave them the 12:30. So this is what you see in your map so far. You've got them covered for the next couple of hours. And right after their 12:30 call, you begin to wonder, is there anything in this area, after they finish this drop-off, is there going to be anything in this area in the future that they could take? So by zooming in on our map, here I'm zoomed in quite a ways. By zooming in on my map, I can then open my time window up. I can see everything just in this area coming up. I can assign that to Medic 1. Then I can close my time window back down and zoom my map back out. So I was able to get all my call volume assigned by zooming into small areas, opening up the window to show more calls, making the assignments, then closing this back down and then zooming back out. So by zooming in and out on the map and zooming in and out on the time window, you can constantly adjust the amount of data that's on the map so that it's not overwhelming. So, if you have any other questions, first check out the help document. There's a nice beefy help document here that talks about how this new feature works, including all the controls on the screen, nice explanations. If this doesn't cover it, of course you can call AngelTrack tech support. We're here 24/7 for you. We'll walk you through it. And one last note, all these new map dispatching features, there have been no changes to the traditional dispatch boards. So if you don't like dispatching in this way, then you can continue to dispatch from the dispatch board just like you always have. Nothing here has changed. So you don't have to use any of this new stuff if it does not meet your needs. You can continue to dispatch just like you always have using the today bar and the boards. So that's it. Thanks for listening. Bye-bye.